So thank you all for joining. Great that you could make it and join this presentation about the signature collection and how to get it done, because this is what we're doing at the moment for Meta25 in Germany. We need 5,000 signatures to actually get on the ballot, and we need them until end of February. So we need a concerted effort now for people to go out and collect signatures. This presentation will contain everything that you need to know. The first things are already mentioned, goal of 5,000 signatures by 29th of February. The most important information in English you find on our homepage on meta25.de/EU for English, meta25.de/Europawahl in German. This presentation will be about the preparation, the forms that we actually need to fill, then about the collecting itself, our core content for the European elections that we present to voters, and in this phase to people that hopefully give us their signature, how we can also gain support for Meta during that phase, and then the final confirmation phase for the signatures to be confirmed and then finalized. We start with the preparation. Would be good to have some kind of clipboard or other document that you can put below the forms, because it's a sheet. It's a sheet of paper. Each form is a whole sheet of paper, black and white. Important if you print them out to print the front and the back. There's a second page that doesn't need to be filled, but needs to be printed for everything to be in order and get the confirmation at the end. It's also good to print out some additional form for EU citizens, not in the same number, but to have some available if you meet EU citizens. And if you can request larger numbers of forms and Meta25 flyers by writing at info@meta25.de with your address. For bigger amounts, we can send you some. If you have smaller amounts of just collecting it with at friends and family, which is also already helpful, we ask you to print yourself. And again, all information and links, also the forms, you find at meta25.de/Europawahl for German and /EU for English. Now, this is the forms to give you an impression. You see on the left side the main form for German citizens, and you can see this square in the middle. This is what needs to be filled. The rest below will be filled by the authorities. We don't need to fill them. It's just what is in the box. The middle sheet here on this presentation is the second page of the form. You don't need to do anything with it, just print it on the back, and just so you have seen it. And the right form is the additional form that EU citizens have to fill. EU citizens living in Germany can also give us their signature, but they need a second form. They need to find to fill the one on the left, and additionally the one on the right. And they also need to have data ready as identity document number. So not everyone on the streets has that, but sometimes you meet people or you can maybe stay in contact with them. And for this, of course, in your local group, if you're with a local group of Meta25, might also be good to have someone that speaks German, so you can actually know exactly what it is on each part of the form. For German citizens, the form is much easier. You just need first name, last name, birth date, place of living, address, then the date of the day where they sign, and the signature, and that's it. That's the rough overview. When you are then on the streets, or what are good places in general to gather. This is the gathering phase. From our experience, but of course, you can experiment yourself in your city, in your place. Left-wing events, demonstrations, at the moment, very recommended in Germany, demonstrations, although they are small, for the cause of the Palestinians, where we are more known than in other places. Other left-wing events, demonstrations, big gatherings of people. Left-wing neighborhoods on the street, in front of a supermarket or such, can also work, just, where you can speak to a lot of people, ask them. And universities are also, of course, definitely recommended. At noon, where the people go for lunch, for example, is a place at the university where a lot of people pass, and you can ask them. It's important to have a place where you can just ask for like 1-2 hours, just everyone passing. That's at least my goal that I always set myself, and so that you have some people that actually then also stop and sign. There is a rule that we should be aware of. People can only sign one signature per election per party. So if they have already signed for this European election for a different party, if they say, I've already signed for someone else, then they cannot sign for us. Who's eligible? EU citizens living in Germany, German citizens, obviously, and if people are over 16 years old. 16 years old is the threshold, and the date of the election counts. So 9th of June 2024 when the people have to be 16. So all those people can vote, and everyone who can vote at the election can also sign for us. If people fill the form, it's really, really important to check the readability of all data. So it's written in a way that the authorities later can read it. Otherwise, they will not stamp it and make it valid. It is really, really important to do that, and also to see that all fields are filled. It's always good if you collect that you actually check if you can read everything. If you can read everything, probably also the authorities can read everything. And to also say that to people who fill everything, that they are aware of that from the beginning. Data protection, some people have concerns about it, so it's always good to protect their data by putting the filled sheets somewhere where others cannot read them, and also to assure them, and this is important for us, that we don't share the data with anyone. We don't use it for other purposes than the signature. And also the authorities in Germany will not use it or store it somewhere other for this particular signature. So a sheet of paper, it will be signed once, will be going to the authorities, will be validated, it will go then to the central authorities, we'll talk about that later, and then it will not be stored somewhere. Just some people have this concern, and that is what we should answer, and of course that's also how we act. Very important to mention that this is not voting. People don't vote for us. They still can decide whom they vote for on 9th of June 2024, or by letter vote a bit earlier, but this is just to help us to get on the ballot. You need this signatures to get on the ballot. Voting will be later on, and that is a good argument for also people that maybe would vote for another leftist party, or would vote for someone else, but it's just for them to help us to get on the ballot and to give the voters more choices. It is very important, I think, to have a personal approach and choose a topic from the flyer that you are passionate when you're collecting signatures. So you can also be passionate when you speak to people, make them excited. One thing that I always mention in the very beginning is that we are an internationalist party. We're not like the other national parties. We are doing this transnationally, and this is a core thing that sets us apart. And sometimes this is even enough for having someone to sign with us, just to say that we are a leftist internationalist party. Sometimes but rarely people want to get into a discussion with you. And if it's getting a bit too long, because you want to also ask other people, I think it's good at some point to just mention this, to also politely say that you now have to move on and maybe ask other people. Of course, that's up to anyone who's collecting signatures. And sometimes there will be difficult topics that people will ask you a very specific question. This is rarely the case, but sometimes. And of course, on meta25.de and also on dm25.org, you find our whole program manifesto. And I think it's always good to come from our core values that we all share, and where you can already answer a lot of questions. And if it sometimes goes into a detail that you don't know how to answer, that's also completely okay to say that you don't know this specific detail, that people can look it up on the website, that you can look it up afterwards and be able to answer it next time. Just to mention that I think it's no shame to say that we all don't know every line of our big program. And then last but not least, learning by doing. I think it's best if you go out, try a place, see if it works, see what kind of questions people ask, and then go home and see, okay, what can you learn? What can you adapt? What can you do better next time? Then one important thing, if people talk to us on the street and they seem to be very interested, it would be good to get newsletter subscribers. So on meta25.de, you can actually open it on your phone, and on the front page, the first thing is a form for people to fill in their email, name, surname, and postcode, and to get on our newsletter. And you can have them on your phone. And if someone's very interested, it might be a good idea. Or it would help us if you can also get the contact, and then at home they can confirm their email, the email subscription on their email when they have filled the form on your phone. Donors, of course, if someone wants to give us money, that's also on the website. There's a button on the top right. If you have a flyer, of course, we also have a link to the website and to the donation page. And ideally, you might even grow your local group or our organization by getting a new member. The form is, of course, also on the website. And this is the case for people who are very interested and might want to join us in our effort or support more than just giving the signature. What's the core content? European elections, we have 3 topics that we decided by the DiEM25 all-member vote that we want to put to the forefront. On the top of our flyer in Meta25 Germany, we have live and decide independently. That's our goal. And we have 3 core things that we focus on next to our vast program, that we want to get people's votes at the European election. That's first of all a basic living income for all people living in the EU. We all know people are struggling from inflation and so on, and we want to achieve this basic living income. We want peaceful and international relations. Lasting peace can only be by good relationships between countries, people around the world, and we want them in all directions and be independent in that as European continent, in good relationships with other countries, peoples around us. And green transformation for Europe, but not only green transformation, of course, fighting climate change, but letting the ones that actually are responsible for climate change, the big industry, the rich, the super rich, we want to make them pay for the green transition. These are 3 core things that are also to find on our Meta25 flyer, of course, and I personally use them a lot to give people a bit of a feel of what we stand for, and mostly people don't even have more questions and get the gist of what we are about through these 3 topics. And that's why I also would probably in your case either choose one of them. But of course, as I again said before, choose something that you feel that DiEM25 or Meta25 is about and that you are passionate about. Can also be the issue of Palestine, can be something about, you know, post-capitalism, transnationalism, whatever you feel is the thing that you want to convince people with. And then finally, this is now the very quick overview of everything. We will put this video later on YouTube so more people can see it. And you can also, of course, rewatch maybe one or the other parts. And afterwards, we'll have a bit of time for questions. The final part is, if we collected these forms, they need to be confirmed. They are only a valid form that we can hand in early March if they are confirmed. This needs to be done locally. Unfortunately, in Germany, there's no central entity that does this. And there's also, that's of course the first thing that you ask before entering the process, is there any way to do this online? Unfortunately not. This all is paperwork, and each signature is one full paper. They need to be handed in locally to the authorities for the authorities to confirm them. There's 3 ways on how you can do this. First of all, we have local groups, and we have some people on our website that offer their address for you to send forms in if you live in a bigger city. On meta25.de/Europawahl, you will find a list of cities that you can choose from, and you will find an address, and you can just send the forms there once they are filled. So someone gathers all the forms and takes them then together to the authorities. If you live in a place that's not on a list, you have 2 other possibilities, or in generally you have them, of course. You need to hand them in to your local authority, which can be a bit different in each small unit of bureaucracy in a German community somewhere. And the best thing is to search for Wahlamt, so election office, and then the name of the city or village, or Bürgerbüro, Bürgerservice, or citizen service, where you will then maybe also find a telephone number that you can call and ask for the details. But mostly you will, with Wahlamt, find an address that you can either go to and hand in the signatures and ask them to confirm it, and then for them to send it already to me. I'm the person whose address is on this page now, and then the local authority will send the confirmed signatures to me directly. Meta25 CO Johannes Fehr, Waldow Allee 116, Aufgang 3, 10318 Berlin. That's also on all the websites, of course, listed that I already mentioned. So you don't need to, you can see it here on screen or copy it from the website. The other possibility that is recommended, actually, rather than going there yourself, send in a letter, put in a little envelope with a signature form and a little note that says, "Dear Sir and Madam, please send the forms after you confirm them to the address that I mentioned before." You would have to pay the letter to the authority, but they will then take care of sending it to us here. So you don't have to make a second envelope and pay for it. Just one envelope, and they will then forward the confirmed signatures to the central collection. And that's the last point. We must collect these signatures centrally and then submit them together to the central election authority in Germany, latest by mid-March. So we need to have a bit of buffer. That's why we are speaking about getting things done in February, because sometimes also the authorities take a bit to go through the signatures and confirm them. It's really important that we, by mid of March, have everything then at the central authority, and that it is already confirmed and in sufficient numbers. That's our goal. Thanks a lot for watching. We hope that you can get involved. Everything helps, from just asking from yourself, signing the form and sending it in, to going out on the street to collect signatures, to asking around your friends and family and so on, to even do this on a higher level. If anyone would like to do that, every week 4 hours of signature collection would really help us. It's just for the next 5 weeks, or until end of February. Info at meta25.de is the address again, where you can ask any questions, get signature forms in higher numbers, get Meta25 flyers when you send in your address. Say, hey, I'm really up for this. I want to help you on a constant everyday or every week basis. We can exchange phone numbers. We can be in closer contact, put you in chat groups to be supported because you're helping us a lot. That's it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for helping. Everything will also be in the video description. Say again to those people that are watching the recording later on, would be really much appreciated if you can help us in the next weeks. It's really urgent. It's really a big possibility for us. The current political climate is so that we can actually drive some change, and we have some unique positions in the German political landscape. And every help counts. Info at meta25.de to reach out. And thank you very much for watching and supporting us. And being with us. Ciao.